Hello there and welcome back to another edition of the Hot Lap Classic Remastered. This time we're taking a look at the 1995 Nissan Silvia K's S14. Another S14 to take on the track, like many that have come before it. We've had 1, 2, 3 of these cars go round. And yeah, this is another one of those. Should be interesting. This is the first one running racing modification. Unfortunately, the racing modification for it isn't all that interesting. It's just sort of a generic-y Nissan one. It does come in purple, and the front end also now looks a lot like an R33, but other than that, not a lot to write home about. Speaking of not a lot to write home about, front engine rear-wheel drive, 403 horsepower, 1,058 kilos, pretty average-ish statistics for this series. So let's find out how it gets along with 6 laps of the Motorsports Land track. It's going to get those 6 laps to set the best time it possibly can. Our current leader is the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 6 rally car, which set a time of 27.718. This car is going sideways. Is unlikely to beat that. Now, in terms of other S14s, the quickest so far has been the European Market 200SX, which set a time of a 30.889. Then it is the Silvia Q's S14, which set a time of a 31.255. And then the Silvia K's Aero, which is this car, but aeronized. That car set a time of a 31.8, although that was one of the very, very first cars to go round, as my ghost goes round, and as I apparently forget how to drive through that sector briefly. This Silvias, this track, they don't fit. Silvias are naturally quite rearwards cars, which is good fun, but not particularly good when it comes to this track. Not only are they quite rearward, they're also a little bit strange to drive. The sort of turn-in and the brakes on them, especially this one, it feels like it stops very quickly and it gets turned in very quickly, and then it just sort of lulls halfway through the corner. It feels like it's sort of 2 different cars in one, which is a bit of a strange feeling. 31.699 on its first sort of proper lap. Trying to get turned into that first section is a bit of a nightmare, as it turns out. Yeah, these cars are not really built for this course. They're not, in terms of traction, it's not really there. They don't like the bumps because they're quite low to the ground. The power is nice. It's a decent amount. It's pretty average for this series, but it's not like a terrible amount of power or anything. But the problem is, it's got to try and get that power to the ground, which these cars struggle with. I don't know if it's something to do with them being as light as they are as well. I mean, 1,030 kilos, it's pretty average for the series. I would say for this series, somewhere between about 350 and 400 horsepower, and somewhere between about a ton and 1.2 kilos sort of fills it into pretty average for this show territory. I don't know if I needed to brake through that sector there. I may have been able to ride that out, but that would have been difficult. Use the second gear, sorry. The other thing is with this car, the gear ratios seem a little bit wonky for this. Like second gear, it feels like you need to change up desperately, but you don't. It sort of sits in that red line for a while. Very strange. Come around here. 30.878, so it is the quickest of the S14s, by the skin of its teeth, I should add. That was not a pleasant car to drive. I really didn't like that, to be honest with you. I think it got quite lucky on that last lap, if I'm being really honest, because that car does not feel like it should be that quick. I'll be honest, 30.878 is... actually, that's a pretty average time for this course as well, but... yeah, I don't know. I didn't like it. I will be honest, I did not like it. So, then the ropes. 30.878. We'll place this into 30.878. Huh. It places it into 98th place. It knocks off the Nissan 200SX that was there. That has now been bumped down slightly. This is quicker by about a tenth or so. Around here, BMW 320ci, which is a better car to drive. Mazda Unos Roadster, which is a better car to drive. Nissan Silvia K's 1800cc. Even the S13 was probably better to drive. Yeah, it's... Everything in this region is a better car, and that's what you should buy, if I'm being honest. Around like a proper track without too many low-speed corners, I'm sure this car gets along a lot better, but it's just not ideal. I mean, looking at it in terms of like rear-wheel drive sports car stuff, it beats both rear-wheel drive Skylines that we've had around currently. It beats the super-powered... Actually, it beats both Supras that we've had. So, yeah, for rear-wheel drive cars, it does well. But the problem with these rear-wheel drive vehicles is it is very much a sort of hand-in-a-pot situation where they really could go either way around a track like this. So, yeah, interesting. I should stop making excuses of why this should be slower and just be happy with it. But there you go. Anyways, that's it for this episode. Thank you all very much for watching. Join me next time when I'll be driving something completely different. Until then, farewell.